doesn't always fight tall, unfortunately, and Herrera said he knows that. So for Perez, the question is, can he take advantage of these natural gifts?
And the rules for our fights tonight: there is no standing 8 count, no 3 knockdown rule. Only the referee can stop the fight. A fighter cannot be saved by the bell in any round. If an accidental foul or headbutt causes a fight to end within 4 rounds, it is declared a no decision. After 4 rounds, they go to the scorecards for a technical decision. It is a sizzling summer night here in Sin City, and we are set to get things underway. Without further ado, here's our ring announcer, Jimmy Lennon Jr.
Ladies and gentlemen, a very good evening to you and welcome to the MGM Grand here in Las Vegas, Nevada, as we have a big night of action coming your way, and it's all brought to you by Oscar de la Hoya's Golden Boy Promotions, Canelo Promotions, and Showtime Pay-Per-View. Sponsored by Corona, La Cerveza Más Fina, and AT&T, mobilizing your world. This bout is sanctioned by the WBA. President Gilberto Mendoza, supervisor in attendance is Bob Mack. Introducing our 3 judges scoring this bout from ringside. From Villa Park, California, Max DeLuca. From Las Vegas, Nevada, Lisa Giampa. And also from Las Vegas, Glenn Trowbridge. Our referee in charge of this bout, he'll be giving instructions after the introductions, Tony Weeks. All right, fans, here we go. 12 rounds of boxing for the interim WBA Super Lightweight World Championship. Introducing to you first on my right, fighting out of the red corner, wearing blue trunks with red trim, hailing from and representing Riverside, California. He weighed in at the super lightweight limit of 140 pounds. His record stands at 20 wins, 4 losses, with 7 wins coming by way of knockout. Currently ranked the WBA number 5 super lightweight contender. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the former world title challenger, introducing Mauricio, el Maestro Herrera. And his opponent across the ring. On my left, fighting out of the blue corner, wearing red trunks with gold trim, hailing from Caracas, Venezuela. He weighed in at the same weight as his opponent, 140 pounds even. His record stands at 19 wins, 1 loss, 1 draw, and 1 no contest, with 13 wins coming by way of knockout. Ladies and gentlemen, here is the 2-time and current WBA Interim Super Lightweight World Champion, introducing Johan, el Terrible Perez. Once again, our referee in charge, now to give instructions, Tony Weeks.
Okay, we go. Ok, caballeros, ustedes recibieron sus instrucciones. Aquí está bien, aquí no. Aquí está bien, aquí no. De los centros para arriba. Ya queda una pelea limpia. Escúchame, cuídate. ¿Listos? Vámonos.
Here at the MGM Grand in Las Vegas, we are set for 12 rounds in the super lightweight division. Referee is Tony Weeks. The bell, and round 1, Mauricio Herrera sporting the light blue with red trunks. His opponent, Johan Perez, in the red and gold. And due to what has happened in Herrera's career, the fact that he's come against some hard luck decisions, most notably in his last fight against Danny Garcia, but also back in 2009, a contentious split decision setback against Mike Achondo. Al, he told us he may in fact look for the stoppage here tonight. He says he's not known as the most powerful puncher, but you never know what he is going to unleash.
Yeah, and Perez has never been stopped, never been down, so that's going to be a task. You know, for Perez, he's facing one issue. His dad, Lino, had visa issues and is not here with him, and he's his regular trainer. That can have a serious impact on a fighter.
Well, it seems like Herrera has taken the aggressive approach this round so far. So it seems like he's at least coming out with that aggressive mentality he told us about. But Perez at the same time looking to box.
Nice overhand right there by Herrera.
Yep, Herrera with that aggressive mentality came over the top of the jab with the right hand. A good counter shot as Perez jabbing a little bit lazy with that left hand.
Lead left hook by Perez, follows it up with a lazy straight right. Backing up along the ropes, Herrera walking down his opponent as they clinch. Referee Tony Weeks intercedes.
And also what Herrera showed us there, you can counterpunch while still coming forward. A lot of times people assume to counterpunch you have to be going backwards, but that was a sharp counterpunch as Herrera came forward from as Johan Perez threw the jab.
Just past the midway point of the opening round. Perez, a native of Venezuela, a country that has produced 27 champions, including Antonio Esperagoza, Jorge Linares, Leo Gamez, and the late Edwin Valero. But he's been a road warrior for the majority of his career. Only 8 of his 22 fights have been at home in Venezuela, a country known for, unfortunately, a lot of violence. And as he backs up there following the shot by Herrera, Herrera crowds him in the corner.
That shot missed him, guys. Yeah, I think he stepped on his foot.
You know, the Herrera jab, though, which is a great jab. I think Herrera is one of the best jabbers in the sport. And I'm sitting next to a guy who had a pretty darn good jab, has one. And he is a great jabber, and he uses it as a weapon.
Yep, and he's using it to cut distance on the taller man. Now, a lot of times you're fighting a tall guy, he figures he's going to be the boxer, you're going to have to come chase him. And Herrera is doing that. He's coming to chase him. But behind the jab, he's nullifying and closing distance. The height, he's nullifying the height and closing the distance on Johan Perez.
Final 20 seconds of the opening round as Perez goes over the top. They clinch. Herrera digging away at the body on the inside. Shoots off a left hand. So the final 10 seconds and a good start for the native of Riverside, California, Maestro Mauricio Herrera, as Perez putting pressure on at the bell.
Johan Perez needs to fight tall and to use the height and reach. He hasn't quite done that yet. And his hands have to stay up. That has not happened so much. And when he throws the left hook, you can see already that it's got to be shorter. He throws it wide and he's open for those counter right hands. As for Herrera, the jab, yeah, keep using it, and he has used it very well. He's also a very good body puncher. We haven't seen so much of that yet, and the right hand has already been evident. He sets it up with the jab.
Round 2 underway. One of the problems that plague the sport of boxing is the Alphabet organization's propensity to hand out belts like they're business cards. And I guess in many ways that's exactly what they are for them. But in this division, the WBA has, count them, 3 titleists. Danny Garcia, super champion, Jesse Vargas, regular champion, and Perez, the interim champion.
I will quote Ray Mancini, who once was a champion, and Harry Arroyo from the same town, Youngstown, was also world champion. And Ray said, how many worlds are there?
Well, you know, at that time, it was a lot less of a problem. You had different organizations. Now you have the same organization giving away multiple titles. You know, at 140 pounds, there's one junior welterweight world champion with the WBA, and that's Danny Garcia.
And by the way, the winner of this bout will be deemed the mandatory challenger for Vargas' portion of his trinket. As we near the 1-minute mark of the second round, and Herrera again looking to establish the jab.
All but one of the punches Herrera landed in the last round were jabs, other than that one straight right hand. So the punch it takes on many facets for him.
Come on, hands free, suéltalo, suéltalo. Spárense.
And Herrera still continuing to come forward, stalking Perez.
Perez bounced that punch off of Herrera's peekaboo guard. And now in close again. A lot of clinching, a lot of scrapping and scuffling at close quarters so far in this fight.
You know, something I'm noticing, Herrera tried to use his height in the first round out, but he just had trouble with Herrera, Perez tried to use it, but he had trouble with Herrera closing the distance. This round, he's choosing more to fight in spots, and we'll see how that works for him. He's getting countered there.
Counter left hook, straight right hand by Herrera.
Herrera is a very intelligent fighter. You know, he does a good job of knowing who he is and keeping the fight within his boundary of having the advantage in the fight. Even if he's coming forward, he still keeps it a jabbing kind of fight and doesn't get reckless on his way in.
See that Johan Perez wants to use that left hook to both the body and the head. There's the hand speed. He has good hand speed.
Herrera again walking him down. Perez pivots away from the ropes, back to the center of the ring, nearing the 30-second mark. Left in the second stanza. There's a triple jab by Herrera. More of a test than anything else, as again they clinch. Final 15 seconds of the round. So we are through 6 minutes of action here in our opening bout at the MGM Grand. And let's go to Jim Gray, who's standing by with a man who is headlining his second consecutive pay-per-view, Canelo Alvarez.
All right, Mauro, thank you very much. Once again, Roberto Diaz will translate for us. Canelo, you did not want to fight for the title, so the weight was 155. Why not fight for the title, and what do you weigh this evening?
155. ¿Qué pesas hoy en día?
No, ahorita estoy pesando 170. Y sí, no fue de título, por eso fue en 155 libras.
Yeah, it wasn't a title at hand, so that's why it was 155. And right now,
estuvo más o menos en estas libras.
I gained what I normally gain, which is 170. That's what I'm at now.
So you gained 15 pounds. What is it that concerns you most about Lara?
¿Qué es lo que más te preocupa de Lara?
No, bueno, él es un peleador muy técnico, es un peleador que sabe manejar muy bien el cuadrilátero, es un peleador que contragolpea muy bien. Hay que cuidarse de todo, me preparé para esto y estamos listos.
Oh, he's a very good fighter. You know that. We prepared for that. He knows how to move in the ring. You know, he's a very difficult, but that's what I prepared for, and we're ready.
Best of luck. We'll talk to you afterwards.
Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you. Back out to you, Mo.
All right, Jim, fans salivating in anticipation of a very compelling contest in our feature attraction. The two best at 154 pounds now that Floyd Mayweather is at welterweight. Miguel Cotto moving up to middleweight. You will see them later tonight here as we get round number 3 underway. And Herrera told us that part of his attack would be to work the body against the taller Perez. And we've seen flashes of that with the jab, but it's been a rather scrappy start.
You know, Perez trained in the United States for the first time, not in Venezuela, at the Daniel Ponce de Leon gym in California. And big reason was better sparring, and he got much better sparring, he said, than he normally does at home, where not everyone's available. And this fight's starting to really kind of even out a little bit after a first round in which Herrera controlled it completely.
Probably safer in California as well. In February, former 2-division champ Antonio Cermeño of Venezuela was kidnapped and murdered, and so a lot of problems in Venezuela, but Perez saying it's the same as it is everywhere. You got your good places, your bad places, and he's looking to make it a bad place, this ring, for Mauricio Herrera tonight, but so far wanting to get off track, off the ropes, as we near the midpoint of the 3rd round.
This fight has evolved into Herrera being the attacker, and while Herrera will do that, it's not his style
right
of
hand
trade.
by Herrera.
And again, at times Perez will throw out the jab a little bit lazy, and Herrera will come over the top of it with the right hand. Now, I'm noticing something Herrera's doing. He did it in the Garcia fight, and in the Garcia fight, he wasn't cutting the ring off, and I thought maybe it was because he wanted to avoid the left hook of Danny Garcia. So I thought it was an intelligent move. Here, he's not cutting off the ring again. I'm not sure if it's by design, but I feel like he would have a better, have an easier time of neutralizing whatever Perez might even be trying to do if he cuts him off a little bit.
Under a minute left in the 3rd.
Because Perez, if he knows he has that escape route, can at least remain calm, knowing there's always that escape route to the left.
Perez's widely scored victory over Yoshihiro Kamigai, the first fighter to beat the Japanese boxer, now looks pretty good after Kamigai gave Guerrero hell for 12 rounds. As action begins to pick up here along the ropes. Short left uppercut by Perez, another uppercut on the inside. The jab from Herrera.
Perez trying to make room in there, but Herrera does a good job of smothering.
Good combination by Perez at the end of the round. And we have Canelo versus Lara coming up in a much anticipated main event. And talk about much anticipated fights. Well, the rematch has been announced. Floyd Mayweather taking to social media. It is Mayhem. Mayweather versus Maidana 2, September 13th, right here at the MGM Grand in Las Vegas, and only on a Showtime pay-per-view. They are gearing up for a special nationwide press tour to officially announce the fight beginning Monday. Both fighters will be in Times Square in New York City, then Constitution Hall in the nation's capital. On Tuesday, it's another two-city swing, the Auditorium Theater in Chicago, then Six Flags, Texas in San Antonio, and it culminates with a stop in downtown Los Angeles at Pershing Square on Thursday. The bell and round 3. Or make that round 4.
Yeah, and in round 3, Perez had a very good round, throwing almost twice as many punches as Herrera, landing more, and really got his sea legs under him. We'll see how the rest of this fight progresses.
Neither of these two veterans have been knocked down in their professional careers. Again, Perez backs up to the ropes, flashing the jab, delivers the 1-2 combination that grazes the top of Herrera's head.
You know, Herrera pointed out to us that the two key things in this fight were feints and jabs, but he hasn't feinted as much coming in as we would have thought.
Yeah, I think he got into that mentality of being aggressive, and it worked so well in the first round that I think maybe it's kind of stunted his way of thinking and being creative. And Perez is trying to starting to get the timing on the entrance of Herrera into the front door, so to speak.
And getting the timing of Herrera is hard.
Yeah,
usually.
It is when he's being tricky, but it seems like if he gets into that one-dimensional mentality, it'll be easier for Perez to time him. Let's see how it goes.
A minute and a half left in the fourth.
Stop.
Not the most aesthetically pleasing bout thus far. Lots of roughhousing in the clinch.
Neither man has been able to be as effective with their offense as they would like.
There's a nice 1-2 combination by Perez that backs Herrera up momentarily.
Perez is controlling the distance much better than he was in that first round.
As the habit of backing up to the ropes has yet to be really made to pay for it, though, by Herrera thus far. Under a minute left in the fourth round. There's a stiff jab followed by a right hand to the side of the head by Herrera. Now Herrera picks up the pace again, sticks the jab, lands another overhand right.
Herrera landing the cleanest punches of the round. Perez is doing pretty well.
Cross clips the jaw of Perez.
And Herrera landing the shots clean here.
Snaps off another effective jab, countered by a jab from Perez. Final 15 seconds of the round. And a good counter jab by Herrera. So Herrera, definitely the more cleaner, effective puncher here in round number 4.
In the last round, the jab of Herrera helped him set up the right hand. There's a range-finding jab, and the right hand gets in. And the jab was also used not just as a rangefinder, but as a power punch in that round. There you see a second look at this. Shows the right hand getting in for Herrera. He did some good work when Perez was against the ropes in that round.
Right now it's an even fight, but you got to put a little more into it. Every time you hit him, you hurt him. You got to keep doing that. There's a win here. There's a win here. You got to keep going.
Round 5 underway here at the MGM Grand in Las Vegas. Mauro Ranallo along with Al Bernstein and Paulie Malignaggi ringside. You are watching Mauricio Herrera versus Johan Perez. Herrera in the light blue with red. Perez in the red and gold.
That last round was a perfect example of how a round can be going along. You're not doing so well. But in the last minute of the round is when Herrera landed 11 of the 15 connects, according to show stats. So that was when he really picked it up and maybe changed his fight. We'll see.
Now it's Herrera finds himself along the ropes. Perez digs away with a left to the body.
First time in the fight.
Yeah, left hand down low.
First time in the fight, Herrera's got his back to the ropes, I think, and it's Perez now trying to take the initiative and be the aggressor.
And is Herrera trying to lure him in to counterpunch?
It could be that. It could be he's taking the round off. We'll see. We'll see how it plays out.
Left hook was bounced off the glove of Herrera by Perez.
That's the thing. Perez still not landing as clean as he'd like to. He may put gloves on Herrera, but Herrera does a good job of partially or fully catching the shots or rolling and partially making them miss at least.
A lot of Canelo fans watching the action here on pay-per-view tonight. As you saw that hashtag battle, we thought Canelo and Lara 50-50 pick'em fight, but thus far a big edge early for Canelo in the hashtag battle.
Yeah, boy, I see it as closer.
Yeah, I think that's just Canelo has a lot more fans, that's all.
Right cross just misses by Perez. And I think, Paulie, you're right. Herrera almost seems to be taking a bit of a respite, content to stay with his back along the ropes. And thus far, Perez not really bringing the fight to him as he misses again with that right cross.
Yeah.
Lead right.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Perez may not used to being the guy to come forward. You know, he's usually the guy trying to use his height in boxing, and maybe Herrera wants to test it out and see, you know, what happens if I force this guy to come forward. He might lean in and give up his height the wrong way.
There's a little, I'm sorry, Paul, a little swelling under the left eye of Herrera. You know, that eye was swollen shut against both Provodnikov and Alvarado.
Been a problem.
And it was hurt against Danny Garcia as well. So it's a serious Achilles heel for Herrera.
Or Achilles' eye in this case.
Exactly, yes.
Under 30 seconds left in the 5th round.
You are a doctor, and you play one on TV, I've noticed.
Oh, nice combination by Herrera. 15 seconds left in the 5th. We are headed towards the end of the first half, or make that the 5th round. I'm going to get my math right eventually here tonight as Herrera and Perez punch at the bell. Let's go to Jim Gray, who's standing by with Arislandi Lara.
All right, Mo, thank you very much. Luis de Cubas Jr. will interpret for us. Please ask him, how is he going to avoid the power of Canelo this evening?
Haciéndolo fallar, haciéndolo que falle todos los golpes de fuerza y se desgaste. Esa es la única forma.
He says, you know, just making him waste his punches, making him throw his strength punches and making him miss and making him get tired.
It's the biggest fight of his life in the ring. Maybe not outside of the ring, but in the ring. How does he approach this? Is there some anxiety, some nerves?
Esta es la pelea tuya más grande de tu vida, no afuera del ring, pero dentro del ring. Tan ansioso, tan nervioso, ¿qué está pasando?
Nah, estoy ansioso, estoy loco por subir ya para que se termine lo que va a hacer y para que salga ganador.
He says, no, I'm just anxious to get in there. I'm crazy to get in that ring and do what I got to do and be victorious.
Is anything that you've had to say going into this fight, which has been, quite frankly, in many ways, you have not shown any respect to Canelo, will that have any bearing, do you feel, on this fight?
Entrando en esta pelea, no enseñan ningún respeto a Canelo. Eso va a seguir así en esta pelea.
100%, 100%. Y eso es lo que va a hacer, lo que va a pasar.
She's 100%. I'm focused. I'm do what I got to do, and everything's going to come out great.
Thank you. Best of luck.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Mo, back out to you.
All right, Jim, thank you very much. Here is Landy Lara. Canelo Alvarez in the main event. Al, what round is this? 6? Am I right?
It is 6.
Okay, thank you.
Listen, I have a Christmas present for you. It's an abacus. You know what? I'm mathematically challenged, so I'm not going to give you a hard time.
Good defense being exhibited by Perez, ducking under the shots fired by Mauricio Herrera.
And speaking of defense, again, I got to say that Herrera is so hard to hit clean. I mean, Perez works and works, and he'll land partially, but he's so hard to clean. The last round, Perez was the oh, there, speaking of getting it clean, now he does get it clean, proves me wrong, but last round, Perez was such an aggressor, and then at the end, he was the one who got hit the cleanest of the whole round, so it's got to be at times frustrating, and let's see if Perez can make some adjustments here.
We talked about shortening the left hook. In this sequence, he's thrown a short left hook, not a wide punch.
And it might have been the cleanest left hook he landed all fight. Actually, not a bad right hand either.
Perez beginning to unload on Mauricio Herrera along the ropes. A minute and a half gone in the sixth. Herrera saying, let's go. And now it's Herrera's turn to fire off a combination that brings the crowd here at MGM Grand to life.
Good fights, he's no stranger, Herrera, to good fights. His fight with Provodnikov was one of the fights of the year when he had it. And, of course, his fight with Danny Garcia was very, very exciting. So he gets into some fights in which there's some great exchanges.
Final 60 seconds of the sixth. And again, Herrera walking to the ropes. Ducks under the jab by the bigger Perez. And doing a good job of bobbing and weaving and avoiding the punches of Johan Perez, but not countering. There he sticks a jab to the midsection. Follows it up with a right hand upstairs.
And there we saw some feinting by Herrera.
And turns the tables, and now Perez fighting off the ropes.
And he literally had to fight his way off the ropes, and he did it. He put Herrera back on the ropes.
They're spending a lot of time in that one area. Someone might soon charge them rent in that area of ropes because Perez now leaning in on Herrera.
Good action in this round.
15 seconds left in what has been the most action-packed round of the fight. And now I can confidently say that we are headed to the second half of the scheduled 12-rounder. That's the way, champ. Let's go. Give me some water. Don't keep throwing on top. You keep working the jab. Working the jab. The jab is what's working. That's what you got to keep doing. Let's get a little air here.
Herrera, with his back against the ropes, still able to counterpunch effectively, landing that really good straight right hand, which a round in which Perez was also able to get some good things done. And we saw a flash of that short left hook, and later on in the round, Perez ripping shots downstairs and throwing some short lefts, not everything getting in, but making some things happen.
Round 7 underway. Mauricio Herrera got a late start in the sport, had his first amateur fight at 18 and didn't turn pro until the age of 27. Perez started boxing at the age of 10, had over 117 amateur fights, winning 100 of those, so had a much longer amateur career than Herrera, but Herrera's jumped right into the deep end of the talent pool thus far in his truncated career.
Yeah, Herrera said, you know what, they told me I was too old at 27 when I started, and now he's 34.
Our unofficial scorer, Steve Farhood, at the halfway point, has it.
Mo, until the 6th round, there was a lot more missing going on than landing clean shots. And those were the kind of rounds that 2 or 3 clean shots was enough to carry the round. And as far as effective aggressiveness, round to round, it's changing. Very, very interesting fight to score for the judges. Not easy to score at all.
Good combination by Perez, going upstairs with a 1-2, then following up with a left hook to the liver. Herrera jabs away to the breadbasket.
It's going to sound kind of like an absurd statement because they should always do it, but this is a fight in which judges better be really paying attention. Steve made a very good point. You have to really watch these rounds if you're going to think you're scoring this fight correctly.
Good right hand by Herrera.
Perez has been the one more forcing the action these last couple of rounds. And there it is again.
But now they're getting through the guard. The first half of that sequence was blocked by Herrera, but Perez managing to slip through the guard and scoring.
And also, if Herrera doesn't answer back, I mean, whether it's getting through or not, it's still not looking good. And here he does answer back.
Now it's Herrera's turn to go to work on Perez along the ropes. Executes a left hook to the body, then goes upstairs with a left hook. Now just shells up with 30 seconds left in the 7th.
It's turning into a fun round and a fun fight because we're seeing a lot of good action.
Short right uppercut by Herrera.
And because neither man is a huge puncher, neither's ever been down as a pro, we're going to see a little bit of this.
Final 10 seconds of the 7th frame. Good right hand at the barrel by Herrera.
Esta derecha, mi hijo. Lo estás dejando quebrada con la derecha, no la estás tirando como debe ser. ¿Ok? Mira.
Let me get some water. Let me get some water.
No te preocupes.
Don't worry about it. You got to be a little more quicker. A little more quicker.
Yeah, lo estás dejando que se crezca.
Perez, when he gets Herrera against the ropes from time to time in the spot, has been very effective. This was early in the round, and keeping his punches pretty short and getting through, as Mauro said earlier, the guard of Herrera, and that's difficult to do in what was, again, a very close round.
Round 8 underway here at the MGM Grand in this battle between Mauricio Herrera, the former plumber, and Johan Perez, the former stonemason. So two guys with blue-collar sensibilities, and it's been that kind of a fight. Bring your hard hat and your lunch bucket and get down to work, Paul.
Yeah, it really has. Nothing too fancy in this fight, man. Just going at it. And different momentum swings over the course of each round. I mean, like Al said, you got to really pay attention in the fight because each guy will have the advantage and also the disadvantage in the same round.
Stop, stop, stop. You know, and look, I have to say this, and looking at video of these two fighters heading into this and being impressed with Herrera against better competition, honestly, I thought Herrera was on a slightly higher level, but this is a very competitive match.
Yeah, and maybe Herrera might be leading closely just because, like Steve said before, it's the cleaner shots. You know, sometimes Herrera has the more visibly eye-catching shots. He lands them then does Perez.
And we saw that Steve has this fight for Herrera, but still clearly some rounds being won by Perez.
Right hand by Perez on the break. Loading up for that right hand.
And as we head into the latter portion of this fight, you know, we talked about it before. For Herrera, a fighter who has not been expected to win every single fight when he's in major fights. This was one he's favored in. Big things in the future for him. They're talking about him maybe fighting Adrian Broner, possibly a rematch with Garcia. So a loss here would be devastating. So this is very important to him.
He suffered back-to-back losses to the undefeated Kareem Mayfield and the then unbeaten Mike Alvarado. We talked about his other loss, a very bad decision against Mike Anchondo on Showbox. Biggest win to date against previously unblemished Ruslan Provodnikov as he gets that shot in.
And he hurt him, right, guys?
Yeah, Perez now.
I don't know why Perez is still exchanging.
Now they begin to swing freely in the center of the ring. Perez eating all kinds of punches. Herrera loading the lefts and rights.
And he's punching wider. Herrera punching inside him.
Neither has been down in their respective pro career, and Perez almost touched the canvas after that onslaught as it continues now. In the final 30 seconds, he's valiantly trying to fight back, but like you say, Paulie, wide looping shots without much mustard on them. Herrera, shoe shine to the body. So another strong round for Mauricio Herrera as we go to round number 9.
Give me some of the ice here.
Well, toward the middle of that round, Herrera was able to land this excellent right hand, and that may have affected the equilibrium of Perez. It landed kind of a little bit toward the back of the head, the illegal punch. And from that point on, Perez was never quite the same. And then later on, Perez would land some big left hooks and right hands. The left hook especially was an excellent weapon for him. We don't think of Herrera as a left hook artist, but he has that punch, and there's a beauty right there.
Show stats, round by round, punches landed, the edge going to Herrera. As round number 9 begins, Perez telling us he describes his style as very technical and aggressive, and things are beginning to pick up in terms of the aggression factor.
We saw it by looking at that show stat breakdown of punches per round. Not a monstrous edge for Herrera, and that's part of that is because these rounds are all pretty close. Even though Herrera, we think, is winning more rounds, perhaps.
Coming off a strong stanza in round number 8, but now finds himself along the ropes, and Perez now wanting to tee off, but just single shooting, allowing Herrera to counter. There's a lead right cross by Perez.
The other thing Herrera's done better in this fight is the body work, and there's that, and there it is in evidence right there.
And against a guy who's 2 inches taller, you want to attack that body, make that investment for these rounds.
Perez is battling away, though. This is really a fun fight to watch.
Some respects now reminiscent of Guerrero and Kamigai in our last Showtime Championship boxing, with the close quarters phone booth type of action. Maybe not as sustained or as violent, Paulie, but they are beginning to pick up the pace here when you would expect in these rounds maybe to slow things down.
And this is here where Perez at times takes a slight advantage in the round. He has Herrera up against the ropes, but then he'll end up getting hit with clean shots on his way out and give the round back. Let's see if Perez can maintain the advantage, or if he ends up making the same mistake again, because a lot of times these rounds are so close, and Perez seems like to be winning them on the aggressiveness, but here he gets backed up and he got hit with a body shot. And here it comes.
It's Herrera firing off and landing clean shots on Perez's face.
I think he got hurt with body shots. That's why he backed to the opposite ropes. And then he took a couple of clean headshots. And again, he's giving the round back.
60 seconds left in the 9th.
Very good point. You are a sage, Paulie.
Let's see how the final minute winds up now.
Herrera continues to work the body. Right hand to the body by Herrera. There's a right cross across the chin, and Perez now unable to land as Herrera utilizing good head movement, ducking underneath, changing the levels.
Stop.
A lot of the big difference in this fight has been the defensive sharpness of Herrera that Perez can't match.
And he's known for his defensive prowess, and he's just landing clean. I mean, Perez's hands are low, and Herrera taking advantage and going to the head.
Manos libres.
Another combination connects by Herrera. Final 10 seconds of the 9th round. Some more good work being put in by Mauricio Herrera as we go to round 10.
Mauricio Herrera turning this fight round by round here in these mid to later rounds. He's doing good work downstairs, and that was the body punch that Paulie noted that pushed him back.
Yeah, he backed up on his own because he's trying to catch his breath, and then Herrera catches him on the ropes, Al, and you see the onslaught.
Yeah, the lead right hand from Herrera. And, you know, Herrera, that left hook wasn't wildly successful, but he's shown us a better left hook than we imagined that he normally throws.
And all that is from Perez still trying trying to catch his breath. He backed up all the way to the ropes, and then he kind of covered his body, and that's why the right hand landed clean, because he's covering his body with his arms. He's really not looking to take another body shot in the moment he's recovering from the previous one.
We go to round number 10. Johan Perez lone setback came in December, or make that July of 2012, losing a technical majority decision against Pablo Cesar Cano, someone you know well, Paulie. And that was after Perez was cut, and they had to stop the fight. And now Perez backed up along the ropes again and eats another clean combination.
Suéltalo, suéltalo, suéltalo.
Perez 1-0 in 12 rounders. Now, Herrera's well battle-tested in 12 rounders because that fight with Ruslan Provodnikov was a 12-rounder. And as I mentioned, a Fight of the Year candidate back in 2011, and he was tested in that one, believe me.
Looking at the power punches from the last round, and almost 2-to-1 edge in favor of Herrera.
And to explain that, a power punch in this parlance is anything that's not a jab.
Which is his go-to weapon most of the time.
Precisely, yeah. That makes it even more interesting.
No.
On our Steve Farhood's unofficial scorecard, the margin of scoring in favor of Herrera, Steve.
He's taking control. The numbers show it. His power shots are landing. And throughout the fight, Johan Perez's right hand has sailed over Herrera's head. Without that right hand, I don't know that he can get back in the fight.
Good counter left hook to the head by Herrera. Perez valiantly battling, but not able to score with clean punches, Paul.
Yeah, again, Herrera's so crafty inside. He really is. And Perez is trying. At times he lands partially, or maybe
nice
right there, you know. But at times, for the most part, the consistency is not there. And anytime Herrera answers back, he's able to take control back of the round. The rounds of Perez is won is because Herrera hasn't answered back enough. Otherwise, when Herrera decides to answer, he's always able to land cleaner. Again, the difference in the fight is the defensive sharpness of Herrera.
They lean into each other and give each other an opportunity to land some uppercuts with their heads low. Crowd chanting Mauricio. 30 seconds left in the 10th, and Herrera jumps back into the fray in the center of the ring. Lands a left to the body, is countered effectively with that right cross by Perez.
You know, Perez has
now he switched.
I'm sorry, Mauro. Yes, he's a lefty. And, you know, that was first time, which is odd, given it's round 10.
Well, he's looking to switch things up, but so far, Herrera doing a good job defensively and landing the cleaner punches here in Las Vegas.
One of the major stories in this fight, as we go inside the ropes, has been the right hand of Mauricio Herrera. Sometimes it's a lead right, as it has been here. Normally, his jab sets up the right, as in that case, a rangefinder jab that gets the right hand in. But when Herrera's able to land lead right hands like this without even having to throw the jab, he's in pretty good shape. And ironically, you know what? He has not had as good a jab in this fight as we normally see from him, but it hasn't stopped him from probably leading in this fight.
El Perro Alfredo Angulo taking in the action. He has a lot of experience with the two combatants in the main event, having faced both Canelo and Erislandy Lara.
With very different results. You know, a very close fight with Lara that he lost on a TKO on the 10th, but put Lara down twice and then was unable to be effective against Canelo. So it's part of what makes that fight intriguing that we have coming up.
This is round number 11. Perez backing up to the ropes again, now going to the center of the ring, using his feet. Herrera still walking him down, working the body.
This is an enjoyable fight. You know, both men, Perez has remained competitive throughout. We think he's losing more of the round. Steve's unofficial scorecard reflects that. But you know what? Perez has hung in there. He has landed punches against Herrera. And because neither of these men have ever been down as a pro, and they're not monstrous punches, we've gotten a lot of this action.
Now, knowing, and again, we don't know what the official judges are seeing, but we've been told that in Perez's corner in between rounds, they told him, Paulie, to take the first minute of the round off to conserve energy. Is that prudent, knowing what we think we know?
Well, you know, you still got the last 2 minutes, and I think what they're seeing is Perez starting out as the aggressor, but then giving the round back as the round wears on. So I think they like to see a more neutral start, and then maybe Perez can turn it on late in the fight, late in the round, which would give him the round as opposed to giving it back.
They were just listening to you, Paulie. They heard you say that.
It's not the worst advice. You know, you just probably just want to tell Perez to be more defensively alert as the round progresses, because he does get reckless. Maybe he punches himself out in the beginning of the round.
Farhad gave the last round to Johan Perez. Our own Steve Farhad, unofficially scoring at ringside, still has it in favor of Herrera by 4 points.
Heard Steve earlier with Brian Custer on our Countdown show.
What a liver shot that was on Showtime. Boss Rutan, my good buddy, I would have been pleased with that liver shot heard around the world by Tomoki Kameda.
As he won and defended his title.
And Perez again in the southpaw stance. Final minute of the 11th, and now Perez taking the fight to Herrera.
Turning southpaw.
Yeah, that's twice now we've seen in this fight.
It's intriguing that he waited so long to do it.
It might be taking the Mickey Ward approach, trying to maybe create more space for the left hook to the body on the inside.
Very good point, yeah. He's actually having some success as a lefty here.
Yeah, and he's trying that hook to the body.
Yep. That is what our pal Mickey Ward used to do all the time.
Yeah, Mickey was great at that, man. He sort of kind of shift his feet to the southpaw stance inside and nail you with that great body shot.
And of course, a man that he is bonded with eternity, Arturo Gatti, the anniversary of his death the other day, Paulie. I know that you mentioned it on social media, and he is going to be forever remembered as one of the all-time great action fighters in the sport. Dearly missed as we go into the final seconds of the 11th round, on our way to the 12th and final round as Herrera tees off with that right hand.
Last round. That's the way. You're the champion. Let me get the medicine.
No, está bien, déjalo.
Forget about it. Take some air. You got to work them like you did before. That's the way you have to work them. This is the last minute again. The last minute, you got to turn it on. You administer the first minute, and then you go for it. He gets hit.
So the bell in round number 12. No knockdowns thus far, but some good inside fighting in the super lightweight bout, especially in round number 8. The welt under Herrera's eye became a little more prominent toward the end of round 11. Interesting to see if Perez wants to target that area.
Perez with some swelling under his right eye as well, so.
And he's back to an orthodox stance.
Yeah.
Stop.
There's a crisp combination executed by Herrera that scores. Now back to a southpaw stance is Johan Perez. Left hook to the head by Herrera. Minute gone in the 12th.
Perez trying for that body shot from that southpaw stance. Good right hand by Herrera. One thing, when you turn southpaw, you are susceptible to the right hands, right, Mo?
Yeah, absolutely. And our own Steve Farhad has Perez picking up some steam as we head down the stretch here. A minute 45 left in the fight.
And if you're Mauricio Herrera, you're in round 12. A lot is riding on this fight, and you have suffered some difficult decisions in the past. How much do you need to win this round to make sure in your own mind you can win this decision? I think Herrera's controlled this round.
Short left hook to the head by Perez, leaning in on Herrera, and lands another combination under a minute remaining in the fight. There's a right cross over the top by Perez. Herrera looking to clinch.
Now Perez is landing some good power punches.
Lunges with that jab. Does Perez, holds on to the right arm, but Herrera wants to work the body while Perez goes upstairs.
Both men felt they were in tip-top condition and very prepared, and they're demonstrating that.
It's been a struggle, a hard-fought affair. Another right hand connects by Herrera. They have definitely earned their respective purses. Perez making $100,000 while Herrera walking away with $125 grand for this fight. And they are headed to the judges' scorecards here as Herrera has Perez on the ropes. Perez pushes him back and Herrera connects again. They're punching right to the final bell. And the crowd showing their appreciation for a hard-fought affair here between Mauricio Herrera and Johan Perez.
You can make the case that that's exactly the fight we thought we were going to see, really. Two men being very active, a lot of volume punching. You know, Herrera threw over 700 punches, Perez threw almost 700. They landed a lot, and both men had good moments.
This was a fun fight.
Perez wanting to extend his win streak to 5. Herrera looking to bounce back from his contentious loss to Danny Garcia. Let's look at the show stats for this fight that goes the 12-round distance.
Well, I referenced how many they threw. They didn't land at a wildly high percentage according to show stats, but the fact of the matter is we saw the edge in terms of what was landed go to Herrera.
You better win the 19th. Let's do it. So good.
And he takes a moment to chat with us.
No, he's difficult. He was walking now. He was a little awkward, like I said he was.
Want to remind you one more time about our ongoing hashtag battle. Who do you think will prevail in tonight's much anticipated main event? Hashtag Canelo wins if you think Alvarez will take the win, or hashtag Lara wins if you think the Cuban will prevail. And so far it's all Canelo, 67%.
I have to say I'm really surprised at that, because the odds don't reflect that, and more importantly, I think most of the boxing insiders feel that it's a much closer fight than that, but the fans are having their say.
I think fans voting with their heart.
Let's go to Jimmy. Lennon Jr. was standing by with the official decision.
Ladies and gentlemen, after 12 rounds of action, we go to the scorecards. We have a majority decision. Judge at ringside, Mack DeLuca, scores about 114 to 114, even a draw. Overruled by judges Glenn Trowbridge and Lisa Giampa. They both scored about 116 to 112 in favor of the winner and the new interim WBA super lightweight